And I'd like to welcome you to our Tennis in the Parks webinar. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded, and you are all muted with the exception of our presenters. So if you have a question, the bottom of your screen there is a Q&A. Just feel free to put your question in the Q&A, and if you just have a comment, feel free to use the chat. So let's get started. As you all know, tennis is booming. I mean, it is really taken off. So, and one area where tennis is really growing is at our public courts. Our park and recs are happening places. The other day, I actually had to stand in line to go out and hit some balls with friends. So we're excited to see that happening. And one area our tennis is really growing is at our park and recs. And it's a great opportunity for our providers to run programming this summer. Toward the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a little information about a grant that we at Middle States have available. But first of all, I'd like to tell you, share with you more about our presenters. And they are going to talk about the programming that they run very successfully at their local park and rec. We have Laura Canfield. Laura is president of the Bucks County Tennis Association, and Nancy Wilkins. Nancy is tennis director at the Riverwinds Tennis Center in New Jersey. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Laura Canfield. Laura, take it away.
Okay, thanks very much, Renee. Our time together is very, very short today. And as Renee mentioned, I'm actually a co-founder of the Bucks County Tennis Association. I'm not the current president, but I want to share with you a few experiences that I've had in the tennis industry and in the recreation industry, and specifically focusing on being a co-founder of the Bucks County Tennis Association and the current program coordinator, and also experience as being a past member and chair of my local park and recreation board. So with that, Renee, our first slide, please. Introducing you to the Bucks County Tennis Association. It's a nonprofit. We were founded in 2001. Originally, we thought that we were going to be an umbrella CTA, but we quickly realized that many of the municipalities had tennis courts, but they did not have organized programming. So we switched focus in 2003 with a very modest beginning. For the last several years, and currently, we work with 20 different entities, generally providing tennis for all ages, one night a week. This is basically 27 sites throughout Bucks County. And while we have sort of the 6 and the 10 court facilities, many of our parks are the old-fashioned community parks with 1, 2, or 3 courts. Annually, we service over 1,000 participants, but I put a huge asterisk there because just as Renee said, tennis is booming. We've already hit over 1,200 registrants for the first 5 months alone. The season that starts today is our second outdoor season. It'll run 5 weeks to June. This season alone has over 500 registrants. So tennis is really, really booming right now. And if we can gather all of our industry resources to take advantage of that boom, it would be amazing. As you can see, we operate year-round, including 3 indoor facilities at school gyms and 1 commercial club. You can kind of see a rollout of what our seasons look like. And of course, we always have built-in weather makeups, both indoors and outdoors. Next slide, please. Our motto is quality, affordable fitness and fun for friends and families ages 9 to 94 plus. We focus on the novice levels and we focus on fundamentals. In our experience, no one leaves a program because they're having too much fun or had too many friends there. So if we get the social and the fun component, the skill development will follow. Our signature program, one back please, thanks. There we go. Our signature program is our Learn, Practice, and Play program. We offer this at all of our facilities. You can see our basic age groups here. Again, for the social component, 16-year-olds and 9-year-olds tend not to be friends. So we try to develop some social as well as skill compatibility. We also offer team tennis training. We have our team tennis challenges, tournaments, and adult events. Our big ones are in the middle of our outdoor season and the end of our outdoor season, where we bring athletes together from throughout the county, and it's lots of fun. We also offer a sanctioned tournament and some entry-level adult leagues. Next slide, please. Our business model is very similar to other community sports like Little League and soccer, in that we're responsible for recruiting the coaches. We're responsible for all aspects of managing the program, from scheduling to cancellations to the COVID-19 safety protocols, etc. We develop the pricing, we take the registration payment, we collect the all-important waivers, and we provide the equipment, insurance, and supplemental advertising. We then send rosters with all the athletes' contact information and a check for a percentage of the registration fee to our partner agencies, and we do that generally twice per year. And one of the benefits of this business model, for us at least, is the old saying that the whole is greater than the sum of the individual parts. This allows us, for example, if someone in Bensalem, where their program is Thursday night, has a conflict Thursday night, that's okay, because we have another town over here that has programs on Wednesday night. And we have another town close by to you that has programming on Tuesday night. Our pricing is consistent throughout the county, at least what we program, and it allows that type of flexibility and that transfer. It also allows us to have hub sites, and that's where we talk about our more advanced programming. I use that term loosely because we're really focused on the novice player. But if the Bensalem program has mostly beginners there and you want a little bit more, we'll bring you to one of our hub locations, and we have a hub in Southern Bucks, Central Bucks, and Northern Bucks, and that's where we do our specialist programs and our slightly more advanced programs. It also allows us to share the wealth. If we have a program that's just new to tennis and the community is struggling a little bit, that's okay. We can take from a thriving community and rob from Peter to pay Paul, so that both communities have a good tennis program. Next slide, please. Our municipality is responsible for providing and reserving the courts for us, and we want permits and postings. Ideally, they'll post a sign there indicating the courts are reserved for organized programming. If not, you want the coach to have a permit in his or her pocket or a reservation sheet. So if they do have to bounce out a tax-paying resident, they know they have a legitimate reason there and they're not poaching on a public facility. They also advertise the tennis program for us, and of course they cash the check that we send to them for a percentage of the registration fee. One little difference I wanted to share with you between using school courts and park courts, at least in my experience, and again, all park and recs are different and all school districts are different. Generally, a park and rec is going to look for a share or percentage, maybe a head tax of the revenue. Most school districts are simply renting you the facility. So you can rent courts at a public school, and it's just like renting a court at a commercial facility. They're not going to get into your registration or payment. They just want the rental fee. The one things with schools, though, that I learned kind of the hard way, they often have a dual pricing system, for-profit, and the nonprofit tends to be much more affordable. But there's sometimes the custodial fee is wrapped in there. Oftentimes it is not. So you might be looking at a very affordable rental fee, but then you've got a pretty hefty custodial fee. And if you're using the indoor restrooms or the gym, a custodian must be the premises at all times, and you're going to pay generally for an hour before for opening the building and an hour after for closing it. If you're just using the courts, they normally will just go with a straight rental fee. Next slide, please. We recruit independent contractors as our head coaches. They're all over the age of 21. We need to have, of course, a W-9 on file and a signed agreement acknowledging the relationship. That's very important. And of course, we need to have all their clearances on file. And sometimes Park and Rec will ask us for the clearance of the coach who's assigned to that facility. We also recruit volunteers or students, parents, and general enthusiasts as helpers. We are not beneath bringing parents in as volunteers. Some coaches are more comfortable with parents on the court than others. But especially this year where we have such unprecedented demand, we often have a parent who really wants to get his or her child into the program, but the child's at capacity, and we don't have an assistant for that facility, but the coach will agree to take the child if the parent agrees to be an on-court volunteer helper for that hour of practice. But mostly we're focused on students, particularly high school students who are looking to fulfill their National Honor Society or their community service hours. Often if they're with us for a while and they have the skill and the personality, they become stipend as junior coaches. And then ultimately, we hope that they'll graduate from our program. And if they have, again, the skill sets, the training, and the maturity, they may qualify as our head coaches at age 18. And I mention this because this has been our lifeline in accommodating our unprecedented demand this year. I have 4 of them that have flocked home from college, and they're on court this week and absolutely wonderful. Next slide, please. So what if it's just you? What if you don't have a CTA behind you? First thing you do is, of course, see what the need is. If there's a public park close to you and you're not aware of any organized programming, find out who owns it and see if they would be interested in organized programming. One of your first questions will be, do you simply want to rent court time from them? Or do you actually want to run the agency's tennis program for them? In my experience, they're more open to door number 2, but that doesn't mean that they'll say no to door number 1. If you're looking to run the agency's tennis program for them, they're most likely going to ask you to complete a program proposal. They're going to want to know about you, when you're available, your experience. They're going to want a title and description of the program that they can put on their website and in their brochure. They want to know the ages, of course, and the enrollment minimum and maximum. And I've bolded that here because that's really important when you decide what your price point is going to be. And of course, they're going to know what the goals and benefits are. It's not stated here, but tennis has intrinsic life skill component to it. And public parks love to hear those magic words. They're also going to know what your proposed fee is going to be, any discounts, any scholarships that you would be open to. Next slide, please. You're also going to need to determine how you're going to get paid. Do you want to have an hourly fee, or do you want to share a percentage of the revenue? Again, in my experience, fitness instructors, for whatever reason, tend to want to be paid on an hourly basis. Park and Recs generally pay the majority of their other providers, though, as a percentage of the revenue. Do you need a certificate of insurance, proof for workman's comp? They may ask you in today's day and age for what your COVID-19 safety procedures are, so they can have that on file. Who provides the equipment? This can be a huge chunk of your revenue, so you need to decide who's doing what. How many courts can you have? Many Park and Recs will allow you to do a program there and will do their own program there, but they may require 1 or 2 or a certain number of courts to be open to the public at all times. Who is responsible for weather cancellations? Do you make the call? Do they make the call? Who contacts the athletes about the cancellation? And how do you handle makeups? Then, of course, again, it all goes back to pricing. To negotiate that with the Park and Rec. The legendary Skip Hartman shared with me a really, really important formula that was very beneficial when we were starting BCTA. And it's the where does the revenue go? And you can see the chart here. Once you kind of decide what your court fees are going to be and your coaching fees are going to be, you can kind of back into the rest of it. And again, equipment is a hidden cost in there. There are some great USTA grants there that might be able to help you with that. That's a plug. But it's really, and G&A, that may include your insurance that you're paying for. And of course, if you have some of this donated, that's going to change it. So it's fluid, but it's a really, really good start to determine what the appropriate pricing is for your program. And last, next slide. Why public park and school tennis? It's familiar and comfortable to people. People are often intimidated going into a club setting, whether it's private or commercial. They worry about, are they wearing the appropriate thing? Do they have the appropriate equipment, etc. It's affordable. I often have parents say, oh, I can put all 3 of my kids in. I thought I could only put 1 in. It's easy access. Most of us are fortunate to live close to a public park and hopefully with tennis courts. And it's where the people are. And that's one of the reasons why we enjoy programming those community parks, because we're actually going into their neighborhood with tennis. We're not asking them to drive 10 miles to us. And of course, it feeds the commercial club programs, school and college tennis. Our goal is not to develop a US Open champion. Our goal is to develop an athlete who's comfortable trying out for his or her middle school or high school team, or even if they play other competitive sports when they're an adult and team sport opportunities are not as frequent, they can say, gee, I used to have fun in tennis, and they have a perceived competency about tennis, and they'll come back to the sport. The last thing I want to leave you with is a little hint about speaking sport, not instructional language. Kids take piano lessons and go to piano classes, and they're piano students, and they have a piano teacher or instructor. Kids go to soccer practice, training, participants, athletes, and soccer coaches. And the more tennis can mirror that sport language instead of the instruction language, the more we can become relevant to these new markets that are emerging, especially in the public parks. So my last slide. There we go. Is to thank you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for all you do to promote and develop the great sport of tennis. And then I believe, Renee, is it my opportunity to introduce my friend, the wonderful Nancy Wilkins, or are you ready to do that? Nancy, take it away.
Make sure I unmute first. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Laura. It's a tough act to follow. I should have gone first for sure. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about the facility where I work. I work at the Riverwinds golf facility. We have 5 indoor tennis courts and no outdoor tennis courts. So we are limited in our outdoor opportunities, and we have never solicited an outdoor park. We've never gone after a park to try to run a program there. However, we have had them come to us. We have a beautiful county park called Atkinson that we've been running programs for 6 years now. They have 8 outdoor lit courts that they just had resurfaced. They're beautiful. And we have access to 4 of those courts. And as Laura said, you have to make sure that you're not throwing those taxpayers off the courts, because that can make some hard feelings sometimes. But they post it on the fences there. The rangers post it on the fences there that we will be using the court at certain hours. So people kind of are used to that idea now. And in fact, a lot of them jump into the programs so that they can still play, which helps us. We offer classes for kids from 6 to 10-year-olds, and then 11 to 15-year-olds. That's how we break down our age groups. They're hour-and-a-half classes, and they're from 9 to 12, 4 mornings a week, with Friday being the rain day. So we run programs from Monday to Thursday, with the day of Friday, and we can combine groups if we need to get those rain days in. And we also are lucky enough to have our indoor backup. If at the end of the summer we can't fit them in, we get them all to come over here and play and do their makeups here. We offer, that's just in the mornings, and that starts the week of July 4th, I believe. And in the evenings, we run from 6:30 to 8. We run high school and JV, varsity and JV, drill and play, where we have 4 courts again with a maximum of 16. So we can have them doing doubles on 2 courts and drilling on 2 courts. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 9:30, we have adults 4.5, 4.0 and 4.5. And Wednesdays, we have adults 3.0 and 3.5. So we offer a little bit for everyone. We don't have competitive situations like Laura has at Bucks County. It's very different depending on which park you're dealing with. Because this is a county park, the bid process is quite extensive. I mean, it's like pages and pages long. You can see here, it's like very, very detailed, that we have to submit. And if we don't get it in on time, we're out. Then you have to, once your bid is accepted, then you have to sign contracts and get those back in on time. And again, they're pretty serious about this. You've got to get them in on time. They do not charge us for the courts, and they offer us the ranger station for storage. So last year during the COVID outbreak, we got the ball mowers, the tennis ball mowers, so that we could, because we didn't want the kids to touch the tennis balls, but we didn't want to take so much time out of their hitting time to have the pro pick up the ball. So we actually hired another staff member that walked around with the ball mowers that just picked up balls the whole time, so that then they would take turns doing that, so that we could keep the tennis going, but we couldn't haul those mowers back and forth. So they let us store our tennis balls and the ball mowers there, which is wonderful. They provide us with a key to their ranger station, which is a little bit tricky because we only get one, and we have like an evening crew and we have a morning crew. So we have to make sure we get the key back and forth. So there's a little bit of coordination to make that happen. And we do have to provide a certificate of insurance too. As a result of that program, we used to do another program outdoors at a local factory that had 3 beautiful Hartrue courts, but they sadly had to shut their courts down due to the COVID outbreak last year. They had a beautiful recreation area for their employees, and we did a program there, but they aren't offering that anymore. But in the meantime, another township recreation department called us this year after speaking with Atkinson to see who did their tennis programs, and we're now working at their facility. Little bit different. It's we're starting out small because it's a new site. So we're just doing the mornings for the kids there. They only have 2 courts and they don't have lights. So we can't do the evening things. We could potentially grow a little bit there, but we're just going to start out small as we do at Atkinson, from 9 to 10:30 with the little guys, the 6 to 10, and then 10:30 to 12 with the 11 to 15-year-olds. This was very, very simple to set up. They called me, we emailed back and forth. They told me to come up with a program. I sent them the program and they said, great, can you get us a certificate of insurance? And that was it. There was no contract. There was no bidding process. It was very, very simple. They do charge us per registrant. So we're paying them $20 per registrant for their programs. But again, because of COVID, we have to we're not taking any more than 6 on a court. I don't know how you guys are doing that, Laura, but we're only 6 on a court. And if it's a drill and play, only 4 on a court. So we are limited in our numbers. They also do not have storage, and also did have to provide their certificate of insurance. So we will be hauling tennis balls and things back and forth for that particular program. One of the things I think, if you're looking for a site, you have to, access to bathrooms is a big deal when you have little kids. Storage for your equipment is a big deal if you can't haul the tennis balls back and forth every day. And you also have to find out who's doing the advertising. So for instance, at Atkinson Park, they send out a county-wide mailing that tells you all of the different camps that they're offering at that park. And it might be a science camp or a basketball camp or a tennis camp. But they'll send that out, which is great advertising for us. So I get that at my house. I'll look forward to seeing that. The Harrison Township has a township newsletter that they send out, and that will advertise our tennis. So that's they do a lot on social media with Facebook and things too. As again, because I work at an indoor facility, we have a marketing department that will be sending out things on social media. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky there. One of the other things I thought would be helpful is to talk about the registration process itself. It's our responsibility to take care of registration. Now, Harrison Township said they would do it, but they would prefer if we did it, and we kind of preferred if we did it too. So we looked into the Serve Tennis program for camp and program registrations. And it's going to be a phenomenal program. We're using it, and so far we're pretty successful with it. This is our first year to use that process, and it's been pretty good so far. We wanted to be paperless. We wanted to have online payments. We wanted to have waivers all included in their confirmation email. So there's a couple of things that if you want to use a program like this, that you should know. And if anybody's interested in using that, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I can tell you kind of the pros and cons, because the programming module is what we used for Atkinson and Harrison Township. It's seamless. It's terrific. It's color coded. You can look at the screen and see how many are in each class, and the waivers are coming through. It's simple. We, on the other hand, for our indoor camp that we run here at our indoor facility, use the camps module, and I'm not as enamored with that one, because we chose to use it because it has a sibling discount, and we didn't offer a sibling discount on our outdoor programs, but we wanted to offer it on our indoor program. So we use that one, and it's not quite as seamless. It's a little bit more difficult to use. It's a little bit more difficult to view your classes. So I've been talking to Serve Tennis, and I believe they will make changes on that for next year. But I think it's going to be amazing. So I think it's something that you might want to look into for sure. As far as wrapping it up, the positive takeaways that have come from this are, we feel about 30% of our customers play at both our indoor facility as well as one of the outdoor facilities. Because we don't have any outdoor courts, we're happy to be able to provide our customers with an outdoor experience that's a little less expensive, and just to have the experience of playing outside, especially the high school kids, since they're going to be playing their matches outside. And we all know it's a different game outdoors than it is indoors. We're very spoiled on these indoor courts with air conditioning. So we also, you might want to think about, at the end of the summer, we offer a free Atkinson Day, or in this case, Harrison Township too, where we invite all those participants to come here one day for a 2-hour indoor fun day. And we just run them through drills and play games and things like that. And we provide every one of those kids or adults with a coupon toward our indoor season for the fall, so that hopefully they'll continue playing indoors when it gets too cold to play outdoors, if they so choose. So I think that's about all I wanted to go over. I wanted to thank you all again for being on this, Renee and Renee Squared, and Evan and Laura. Thanks for all of your input and all of your efforts in setting this up. And if anybody has any questions, I have no problem if you'd like to send me an email or make a phone call, and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Terrific. Thanks to both of you. Those were excellent presentations. And for those of you who may wonder, the slide deck that Laura presented will be included in the follow-up information, as well as contact information for both of their programs. I love that both of you spoke about these Tennis in the Park programs being feeder programs. Although Laura, yours doesn't feed into a particular private facility that you run, but it does feed into other private facilities running tennis. So that's terrific. And Nancy, yours as well. And I'm sure you get quite a bit of, well, as you said, probably 30% of the folks who play in your outdoor programming also come into your facility. So that's great to hear. And the accessibility that the outdoor programming provides is tremendous. And the emphasis on easy access and affordability is also very important. And speaking of affordability and making it accessible, I'm going to move on to just give a little bit of information about the Middle States Tennis in the Parks grant that we have available. Just a few pointers to apply. The first thing you need to do if you're interested in applying is to contact your tennis service representative, your tennis TSR. And again, in our follow-up information, we will have their contact information available. They can provide you with the application, and they can also provide you with the Serve Tennis program that Nancy spoke about for those of you who are interested. You'll also need to be, your organization will need to be an organizational member of the USTA. That's a necessary step. If you are not already, you'll need to do that. That is a free membership and very easy to complete. Your coaches, your coaching team will need to be Safe Play approved before we will review your application. So before you send that in, make sure that they are Safe Play approved. If you are not sure how to do that or need help with that, that's where your tennis service representative comes in handy. And critical step, you must have permission from the public facility or the Park and Rec to run that program. We'll need to see verification that you have connected with them and that they have given you permission. A little about the grant itself. It is a rolling grant, and by that we mean you can apply anytime. Just make sure that you are not applying today looking to get a grant, by Friday. We are a small team, and we do need to review that grant to make sure you've crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. So it does take a couple of weeks or so to get that completed and to make sure that you qualify. So make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time to receive funding when you apply. The grant is up to $2,500. So every grant recipient does not get that full amount. It just depends on the scope and size of your program. And this grant is not a facility assistance grant. By that I mean, it is not to be used or cannot be used, and probably isn't large enough to be used to resurface courts or put up windscreens or that sort of thing. This grant is really about the activity that is taking place during that program, that 6 to 8 week or 10-week program that you're running. So what you can use it for are, to help with low-cost coaching fees. And you can use it to help purchase rackets and balls and mini nets. It cannot be used for large equipment like those beautiful ball picker-uppers that Nancy mentioned, or a ball machine, or carts that are very expensive. We really want this to go towards the folks that you're bringing onto the courts and helping them to get started with tennis or continue to play tennis. And by the way, this grant is for any youth or adult programming, any programming that you want to run on courts. Let's see, is there anything, Renee Lentz, is there anything that I missed that you want to add to in terms of what the grant can or cannot be used for? And it's a very simple grant process, by the way.
Very simple, and you got it all covered.
Great. Okay. Well, at this point in time, I just wonder, I don't know if I don't see questions in the Q&A or in the chat at this time. I think we did have one question that came up that was answered. We may want to repeat it just in case those who are on didn't see that question. And I believe it was answered in the Q&A, but
Another
Renee, we
question
just
came up, Renee.
oh, it came up? Perfect. Okay, terrific. Great. Well, if we have no other questions or comments from our presenters, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. Again, you will receive a follow-up email with this recording, as well as documents and additional information about the grant and how to connect with your tennis service representative.
Renee, can I just ask a couple questions that
Go right ahead.
started to come in the chat?
Oh, okay. Here we go.
So we do have a question. Does the grant cover programs that are not public parks, but private communities? So
Are you gonna, you're gonna answer that, Renee?
I'm not sure of the answer.
I'm sorry, would you just repeat that for me one more time?
Sure. Does the grant cover programs that are not public parks, but private communities? I'm assuming like a 55 and over or a, am I correct, Kristen?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we can have that person who answered that question come off mute, Evan, and they can sort of clarify what they mean by private communities.
A
So she-
lake community in the Poconos. There we go. We got it. Like a community in the Poconos.
Like
Yeah.
a neighborhood courts.
Yeah, I think absolutely, we would absolutely consider that, as long as they've met all the other requirements that I just mentioned. But yes, we want to see tennis happening everywhere. So if we can help by funding that, absolutely. Just again, speak with your tennis service representative about what you're looking to do, and we will certainly absolutely consider it.
And another question, is an indoor facility able to host a tennis in the park program? Or are we eligible only to sponsor a program? And the answer to that is yes. That's what Nancy does with Riverwinds. They are an indoor facility actually conducting the program in the parks. So yes, you can apply for this grant for your park program.
Yes, as long as that program that you're looking to run is happening at the park or a public facility, yes, not at your indoor site.
And you can apply for the grant one time.
Correct.
And I think that's all the questions that have come in. Evan, did I miss one?
It does not look like it. I'm just running through this one more time and it looks like everything has been answered.
Yep.
Terrific. Wonderful. Well, if you have additional questions that didn't get answered during this webinar, feel free to reach out to our staff, as I said, our tennis service representative, the Renee Squareds, who are currently on the call. And yes, we are lovingly referred to as that many times. And we'll be happy to help. Again, look for our follow-up email sometime shortly after today. And again, thank you to everyone who's on the call. We really appreciate your time and attention. And have a
Okay.
wonderful day. It's beautiful outside. Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Go
and
play in the parks.
The great tennis day. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Nancy. Thank you,
Thank you.
Laura.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks,
Great to see you all.